This video is sponsored by Cuts Clothing, but more on that later. I played The Last of Us 2 from beginning to end, and I don't understand how this game is a 10. It's amazing in many ways, but it sure pissed me off. I just don't know what they were thinking. Why, Neil? What's up, guys? My name is Timbo, and today we're going to take a deep dive into The Last of Us Part 2. Get it? Deep dive? You know, because Ellie can swim now. Okay. The Last of Us 2, as I'm sure many of you know, has had one of the most stressful and controversial launches I have ever seen. There were delays, there were real-life pandemics, there were huge leaks, there were unhappy employees. This game just couldn't seem to catch a break. Over that period of time, The Last of Us 2 went from a game I was incredibly excited about to a game I wasn't sure I would even buy anymore if it weren't for the fact that I had planned to make this video for like over half a year, to now where I stand at this moment, which is what I would call morbidly curious. I figured reviews would give people some clarity on the state of the game, but if anything, they've just made people more divisive and confused. I'm sure I'm not alone when I say I don't know who to believe anymore. So I did the only thing I could, play the game and see for myself. While I definitely have some thoughts on it, and I will periodically share those throughout this video, these videos aren't meant to be reviews. Sometime in the near future, I'll certainly, quite honestly at this point, make a video with my thoughts on the game, but that will come a different day. For those of you who are new, today we are going to be breaking down the story of The Last of Us Part 2, beat for beat, giving a synopsis of the plot and explaining the ending. I'm assuming there's going to be some people watching this video who were going to buy the game, but canceled their pre-order, or perhaps there's someone who only heard about The Last of Us 2 because of the leaks and just want to see if they were true. While this game has some special circumstances, the same goes here as it does in every Ending Explained video when I say that this video is as detailed as possible, but it will not replace the experience you'll get playing The Last of Us 2 yourself. If you haven't seen the original Last of Us, need a refresher, or just want to go back to happier times, I highly encourage you to check out the video I made on the first game. You can find it linked down below as well as in the card appearing at the top right corner of your screen. If you enjoy this video and find it helpful, you can let me know by leaving me a positive rating. And for more content like this, make sure to subscribe so you won't miss any future uploads. With all that out of the way, let's get into the story of El Último de Nosotros Parte 2, or The Last of Us Part 2. As you'll see, The Last of Us 2 jumps around time a lot. Perhaps too much. However, it mostly takes place 5 years after the events of the first game. We see Joel cleaning up his guitar telling Tommy about how he saved Ellie, which earns bonus points for me because it's a Taylor. We get to see Joel save Ellie all over again, but this time, we get those nice PS4 graphics. Joel and Tommy ride back to Jackson, which is Tommy's settlement in Wyoming. And I hope you all enjoyed that time playing as Joel, because that's all you're gonna get. Joel enters Ellie's room, which if you look closely has Sam's robot from the first game, and starts playing her a song.
I believe, 'cause I can see our future days, days of you and me. There you go.
Joel gifts Ellie the guitar, promising he would teach her how to play. After he leaves, Ellie is left with the guitar and the title comes up, being a much slower, quieter start when compared to the first game. 4 years later, Ellie is woken up by Jesse, one of her 2 friends in Jackson. The other friend, or maybe I should say more than friend, is Dina. Now Jesse and Dina used to date, but now Dina is kind of in a relationship with Ellie. It's confusing and kind of awkward to think of the love triangle among friends, but maybe that's just how things work in the apocalypse. This is not the only love triangle in this story, I might add. While walking with Jesse, Ellie mentions a fight she and Joel got into the night before at a sort of bar dance event thing. Ellie meets up with Dina, who, after beating the crap out of some little kids, heads out on patrol. Enter this cozy looking lodge out in the middle of frickin' nowhere, where we meet the meme herself, Tiger Woods, or Abby, as the game likes to call her. Abby awakens and finds Owen, who says he has something to show her. After walking in the cold for some time, the two look at Jackson from a distance. Seeing how large Jackson is, Owen tries to convince Abby that they should head back. When Abby disagrees, Owen reveals another piece of information.
Mel's pregnant.
Oh. Okay.
It's not just that, though.
Should I say congrats?
When everyone else sees this, they're gonna want to turn back.
Abby is convinced that he is in Jackson, obviously referring to Joel. Since Owen thinks infiltrating Jackson is too dangerous, he heads back to their lodge while Abby continues by herself, attempting to locate one of the patrols. Back with Ellie and Dina now presumably a little bit earlier in the day, the two do some basic stuff like clearing out and tracking any infected they see around the perimeter. The two take down some infected and end up getting stuck in a snowstorm, so they take refuge in a nearby library. They come across a game I would much rather be playing right now, and a secret entrance to an underground weed basement. Waiting out the storm, Ellie and Dina chill on the couch and start 420 blazing it.
How would you rate our kiss from last night?
Why are we still talking about this? You said it was a mistake.
Did I say that?
What are you doing?
I asked you to rate our kiss.
I don't know.
What, did Stephanie Meyer write this? Back with Abby now, she immediately gets swarmed by a horde of infected, leaving her no choice but to run for her life. Stuck in a fence, a familiar face comes to the rescue.
We're gonna have to run!
Abby escapes with Joel and Tommy, who not once, but 2 times randomly reveal their names. Because if 20 plus years of survival skills have taught you anything, it's that trusting strangers is a good idea. And if the first Last of Us game has taught us anything, it's that Joel always lends a helping hand to those in need and has the utmost faith in the human race. Momentarily switching back to Dina and Ellie, Jesse awkwardly walks in on them in their underwear. Dude really needs to find some different friends. And tells them that Joel and Tommy are yet to return from their patrol. Worried, the three head out to find them. Back at the lodge, Tommy and Joel are introduced to Abby and her gang, when revealing their names again. This happens.
All clear?
He's out. Put him against the wall.
Okay, let's just think about this here. Abby is looking for a guy named Joel living in Jackson. She randomly stumbles on a guy named Joel who happens to save her life. So not only does this fail to create literally any hesitation in her mind, but she just assumes that there's only one man named Joel living in this huge city. I know that Joel isn't the most common name, but just apply this logic if she were looking for a guy named like John or something. Just saying. So yeah, Abby confirms the leaks and breaks out the old golf club. Ellie eventually arrives and is immediately tackled by more of Abby's crew. Without even thinking twice about it, Abby finishes the job. Personally, I would have used the 9-iron, but that's just me. So yes, Joel dies in the first hour or 2 of the game. But don't worry guys, it gets better from here. And by better, I actually do mean kinda better. But then it gets worse. And then much, much worse. After fighting about it, the group ultimately opts to let Tommy and Ellie leave, who are found by Dina and Jesse. Later on, Ellie is visited by Tommy. Ellie learns that Abby and her group are part of a bigger organization called the Washington Liberation Front, or WLF, or Wolves. While Ellie swears at revenge, Tommy urges her to stay back in Jackson as she doesn't know what she's up against. The next day, Ellie and Dina visit Joel's grave and head into his home, searching through his belongings and finding things like his watch and a picture of him and Sarah. Upon walking out, the pair run into Maria, Tommy's wife, who informs them that Tommy decided to pursue the WLF on his own, which, considering his and Ellie's previous conversation, literally makes no sense, but okay. Even though they thought she would be opposed, Maria urges them to go after Tommy and to, quote,
Just do me a favor and bring my dumbass husband home in one piece, please.
So Ellie and Dina do just that, as the game jumps to them all the way in Seattle, Washington. Upon entering the city and finding a little bit of Tommy's handiwork, the two are ambushed by the WLF, who capture Ellie while Dina escapes. Being held with her hands tied, Ellie is about to be killed, only to be rescued by Dina. In doing so, Ellie is able to get the upper hand and kill her abductors, which, if you remember, was one of the men present during Joel's death. Later on, Ellie finds photographs of all the members of Abby's crew, and from here on out, the game just expects you to remember all their names, even though only like one or two have any significant impact on the story. And when I say significant, I'm mainly referring to the fact that they have more than like 2 minutes of screen time. After being hunted by the WLF and some more infected, the two escape only for Ellie to get her mask broken. This causes Dina to freak out, so Ellie resorts to revealing that she's immune. Even though Ellie told her this earlier in the game, the proof for some reason makes Dina angry at Ellie, even though she has many reasons to keep that info to herself. Dina and Ellie take refuge in a movie theater, which y'all should get comfortable in because we are gonna be here for like the next 10 hours of gameplay at least. Inside, Dina reveals something that she really should have told Ellie about before going on this revenge adventure.
I think I'm pregnant.
Oh Lord help me. After restoring power to the building, Ellie finds a guitar and starts strumming along. Joel brings Ellie to a museum for her birthday. While there, the two have some really good dialogue talking about dinosaurs and astronauts, making jokes that are sorely needed in a game where everyone is overly beaten down and serious all the time.
Look how thick this one's skull is.
Kinda looks like Tommy.
I'm telling him you said that.
Please don't.
Seriously, this is what made everyone love the first Last of Us. Why isn't there more of this stuff in the game? Cutting back to present day in Seattle Day 2. Ooh, so dramatic. Ellie finds Dina, who used the radio to locate several members of Abby's crew around the city while she's not vomiting in a bucket. Ellie pursues Tommy on her own, leaving Dina at the theater. On her way, she's attacked by a large number of WLF, and then this crap happens.
What the hell are you doing here?
I think I'd let you do this on your own.
So you're telling me that this whole time, Joel's line where we see in the trailers was just Jesse all along? Not cool, dude. So basically, instead of everyone just going together, because you know, it's not like they all share the same frickin' goal or anything, Tommy, Ellie, and Dina, and Jesse all went to Seattle alone. Interesting decisions indeed. And by interesting, I mean stupid. Regardless, Ellie and Jesse end up into this big car crash and demolition derby chase thing, which is actually pretty dope. Mostly due to the visuals, animations, and sound design that single-handedly carry this game on its shoulders. After escaping, Jesse and Ellie just teleport back to the theater, which happens so many times in this game. Like literally, you go out, take all day encountering tons of enemies, and then just move on back to base. I'm not saying I would enjoy backtracking at all, but this happens in Ellie's timeline a lot, it happens in Abby's timeline, and it just makes you feel like you're making no forward progress. And it's even worse because your reason for even being in Seattle and doing everything you're doing in the game is so poorly executed and is communicated to the player all out of order. It's here where we get another flashback, this time 2 years prior, showing Tommy and Ellie shooting some infected. Once again, these parts started to win me back over while I was playing. They're excellent. Tommy and Ellie unite with Joel, who asks if Ellie would like to go with him to a nearby music store to replace their guitar strings. Ellie reluctantly agrees, and the two head off on their horses. Since things are never as easy as they appear, Joel and Ellie try cutting through a building and end up running into a large group of infected, including the game's first bloater. After dispatching them, one of the game's few emotionally resonating and gripping scenes play, as Ellie pries for information about what happened at the Fireflies.
I know you wish things were different. I wish things were different. But they ain't.
Back in the present again, Dina tells Ellie she has a lead on a friend of Abby named Nora, who is apparently at a hospital nearby. Despite Dina's plea to stay, Ellie decides to go after Nora alone, because who needs character development of Jesse and Dina? It's not like the game is trying to get us to care about them or anything. On her way there, Ellie encounters the creepy whistling cult group known as the Seraphites, or Scars, who are downright terrifying when you first meet them in this scene, but become way less threatening to fight later on. You end up playing in a scene from one of the old gameplay reveals, and then immediately, like I'm talking back to back, play through another section of the game that was also part of a more recent gameplay reveal, the one where you stab the girl playing on her Vita. Eventually, Ellie finds her way to Nora, who refuses to give up Abby's location, deciding to run off. After a really nicely designed chase sequence, Ellie catches up to her. Still refusing to give up Abby's location, Ellie whips out the old pipe and violently kills Nora with it. Also, it's found out that Nora was a Firefly, which is kind of important, I guess, but not really. So yeah, Ellie teleports back on over to the theater, because getting there is hard, but the pathway back is super easy. It's not like she fell off a balcony and went through a sewer, encountering infected and Seraphites, completely losing the path of where she even was on her way to the hospital. Yeah, no big deal. Alone with Dina upstairs, Ellie takes off her shirt, revealing all the wounds on her back. And speaking of shirts, I think it's time to mention Cuts Clothing, the sponsor of today's video. Guys, Cuts Clothing makes the best shirts on the market, period. I'm not joking here, I wear Cuts probably like 80% of the time. I was even wearing Cuts in the intro. The shirts from Cuts fit amazingly and are tailored to complement any body type. The fabric is high quality, soft, comfortable, and withstands many trips in the wash. The design is stylish and perfect for a wide variety of occasions. The colors are mature and give you an insane amount of options to pair with different items. Guys, the shirts from Cuts are simply the best on the market and are a must-have in every man's closet. They give you a timeless, mature, minimalistic look that you are gonna love. If the zombie apocalypse broke out tomorrow, Cuts will definitely be my shirt of choice. If you use the link provided below or plug in code Timbo, you'll receive 15% off your order. And the great thing about Cuts is that they are a sponsor of the channel, not just a promotion, so after you fall in love with your first shirt, you can keep going back and using that code time and time again. So you can get yourself more shirts at that same discounted price. I'm telling you guys, just try one, it will quickly become your favorite shirt and they will last you a very long time. You can always return them if for some reason you don't like them, so there's no risk, but trust me, you will want to go back for more. So make sure to check out that link provided in the description and start rocking some Cuts today. While Dina cleans off Ellie's wounds, she recalls an event from 2 years ago now, where she revisited the St. Mary's Hospital, the place where Ellie was supposed to have her surgery and find the cure and all that from the first game. While outside, Joel rides in, worried sick about Ellie's disappearance. And it's here where we see the second big lie in Naughty Dog marketing, as official screenshots showed older versions of both characters during this scene, when in reality, the actual game was just a flashback. Joel reveals the truth about the Fireflies to Ellie, and quite honestly, she reacts slightly dramatic, in my opinion, saying that she and Joel's friendship is done. And let me say, I feel so bad for Joel in this game. Like, they try to make him look like such a jerk and just treat him like crap. The poor guy did what he thought was right, goddamn! This game can suck for all I care, but don't try to take down the first game with you too, please. Whatever. Now, we're at Seattle Day 3. Ellie has a conversation with Jesse. She tells him Dina's pregnant, blah, 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 really could care less. Due to Dina's state, Jesse tells Ellie they should head back to Jackson, but Ellie insists on getting revenge and finding Tommy before doing so. Luckily for her, Jesse doesn't take too much convincing. The two follow a lead on an aquarium, heading through Seattle on boats and other cool stuff. Just as Jesse starts to have some character development happen, he and Ellie disagree on where to go next. Jesse, who wants to find Tommy, heads in one direction, while Ellie, who wants Abby, heads in another, which doesn't make any sense because literally 20 minutes ago, Ellie persuaded Jesse to come with her and leave Dina alone again because she wanted to find Tommy before heading back to Jackson. And then when she gets a lead on where Tommy is, she says this.
He can take care of himself.
Jesus Christ.
The best way to help Tommy is to go after Abby. You do this, I'm not saving your ass again.
What? So Ellie and Jesse split up because that's another great idea, and after some water aerobics, heads into the aquarium. Ellie runs into Owen and Mel, holding them at gunpoint and commanding them to give away Abby's location. Instead of giving Ellie what she wants, Owen attacks her, which leads to him getting shot and Mel getting stabbed. To her horror, Ellie finds out about Mel's pregnancy, which was mentioned way at the beginning of the game. Right after this, Tommy and Jesse show up, taking Ellie away from the scene and accidentally leaving their map behind. After accomplishing literally nothing so far. The game miraculously teleports back to the theater again, where Ellie leaves her bed to find Tommy and Jesse talking about how they plan to go back to Jackson. Tommy leaves, and after a short conversation with Jesse, a loud noise is heard from the other room. The two burst through the door, and Jesse immediately gets freaking wall hacked by Abby, who has Tommy at gunpoint. Angered, Abby says this.
You killed my friends. We let you both live. And you wasted it.
Actually, I think you are mistaken. If one thing has been made clear throughout this game, it's that Ellie only wants Abby, just like Abby only wanted Joel.
That's her. That's the one who killed him. Abby was here earlier. Where'd she go?
Nora was given a chance to live, but she chose to fight. Even if Ellie didn't hit her with a pipe, she would have died anyway, because the whole reason why she was caught in the first place was that she was breathing in spores. Owen and Mel had a chance to live, which is clearly in the dialogue.
Where's Abby?
You're that girl from Jackson.
Tell me where she went. How do we know you won't kill us?
Give her what she wants and we're dead.
You guys can survive this. I just need her.
But they decided to fight too. Even Abby's dog, which I have not mentioned until this point, started attacking Ellie first. So this whole angle Abby has lacks any kind of emotional or dramatic weight, because it's just not true. And this is where the game completely loses me. And now we're gonna have flashbacks and other flashbacks and relive the same long days we just experienced, but as Abby. And Abby's experience has absolutely nothing to do with Ellie and what you think the plot of this game centers around up until this point. And then at the very end, tries to tie in Ellie and Joel and all that stuff again last minute. The next 10 hours of gameplay feel painfully unnecessary. It's like Naughty Dog thinks all their players are sociopaths and couldn't immediately assume that Abby is a normal human with feelings and friends and family. We saw what Joel did in the first game. He would certainly have enemies who have personal reasons to want him dead. That doesn't make the person that wants to kill him a soulless monster. So now the game is going to take a complete 180 and slap you upside the head, basically showing that people have both good and evil inside of them. A theme that isn't related to Ellie's revenge tale, a theme that isn't deep, and a theme that was already expressed a million times better in the first game through the morally ambiguous actions of Joel. Having an antagonist that's understandable and well fleshed out is a very important aspect in a story, and I get how they're trying to, get us to see the two sides of this story, but this is just way too much. So yeah, rant over for now. We flash back to Abby as a child with her dad. The two come across a zebra, and after helping it out of a barbed wire fence, show the St. Mary's Hospital in the distance, revealing that the zebra was from the same zoo that Joel and Ellie encountered with the giraffes in the first game. A younger Owen tells Abby's dad that they have found the immune girl, which reveals that Abby's dad is the head surgeon Joel killed. Remember that character? The guy who said one line and you killed? Yep. That's who this entire conflict hinges around. And quite honestly, he's no perfect man either. He was making the equally morally ambiguous choice to kill a little girl for the cure. But I guess this guy good, Joel bad. So yeah, you know what happens next. Abby finds her dad killed, it's very sad. And now it's Seattle day one all over again. Because the first time around was just so much fun. Yeah. Abby is woken up by Manny, who a lot of people said was modeled by Neil Druckmann, but that's not true. And now it's time to get reintroduced to all the people you already killed. Sweet. Abby meets up with Manny and Mel, who is confusingly willing to go with them on their patrol. I will add that the Wolves' main base is in the Seattle Seahawks stadium, which is dope. They immediately get ambushed by Scars, and while this is sweet looking and all, I just can't stop thinking about how this dang Mel woman is with us right now. Traversing through town, a secret canon ending to this game plays.
Long way down.
Mel, who I'm gonna reiterate is the most idiotic, irresponsible pregnant woman I have ever seen walk the earth, goes around doing this dumb crap, and then they get into this situation. Am I playing Modern Warfare or something? The three get back to a different camp. You run into the girl who plays on the Vita, and Nora shows Manny and Abby someone they know that died, assuming players would remember these iconic character names. Abby and Manny move on to meet with Isaac, the head of the WLF. Isaac tells Abby that Owen has gone missing while investigating Scar activity and fears he may have joined them. Isaac also tells Abby of his plan to attack the Seraphites Island settlement to obliterate them. Because of more personal reasons that are elaborated on later, Abby sets off to find Owen. But before that, more flashbacks. Here we get to see Owen and Abby, who were kind of lovebirds back in the day. The two discover an aquarium together, the same aquarium that Owen is eventually killed in, and despite having a romantic moment, Abby opts to go back to base to continue training, already obsessed with finding Joel, leaving Owen there with seals and blue balls. On her way there, Abby gets captured, but before we have any other forward progress, we got a flashback yet again. This one shows most of the same thing, where Owen has moved on and is with Mel, setting up Christmas decorations and living a normal life. However, Abby continues to be obsessed over her revenge on Joel, telling Owen she knows where he lives. Even though he clearly doesn't want to, Owen agrees that he'll come with her on a trip to Jackson to kill Joel. So, hours spent on pointless reiterations of stuff we already know. Now captured by scars, Abby is about to be sliced and diced. But then another woman is brought in named Yara. Yara gets her elbow smashed in with a hammer before being rescued by her brother Lev. The three work together to escape the infected and Seraphites, mostly unharmed. After fixing her arm up in a safe place, Abby leaves the two scars and continues on towards Owen. After dealing with infected, she gets into the aquarium and finds him. Owen tells Abby that he intends to leave Santa Barbara, which is supposedly where a small group of Fireflies are regrouping, being disillusioned with the war between the WLF and Seraphites. While Abby and Owen are visibly angry with one another, somehow this starts happening and
Abby.
we are moving on because we are not trying to get demonetized today. The next morning, Abby has a change of heart and feels the need to help out Lev and Yara. Also, does anyone feel like this is just so random? Like, what does this have to do with the first Last of Us? What does any of this have to do with even the first half of this game? She tracks back the two scars and carries Yara to the aquarium, hoping she will get the medical attention she needs. Mel needs certain supplies for Yara on the other side of the city, and while that trip would normally take days, Lev suggests taking an alternate way only the scars know about that would only take them a couple of hours. So he heads off with Abby. And while Lev's way is much faster, it is also a lot scarier, as these pathways are beams laying across several skyscrapers. While the first attempt goes super well, Abby can't say the same for the second, as she sends her and Lev collapsing down into a hotel pool. Despite the inconvenience, the two fight their way through the infected and make it to their destination. However, all is not as good as it seems, as Abby is arrested by her own people since she's been AWOL for almost 2 days now. Luckily, Nora is there to help, setting Abby free and giving her access to a part of the building that will more than likely have the medical supplies she's looking for. Then the game goes full Resident Evil with this monstrosity that I don't even know how fits into the lore of the universe, but Abby kills it, grabs the supplies, and heads back via boat with Lev to the aquarium. With the supplies, Mel was able to save Yara's life at the expense of her arm. After this, Mel basically says she's always hated Abby and that she's done with her, which was kind of random, I'll admit. It's because of all the freaky deaky love triangle stuff going on, and it's the last time we ever see her character, so who honestly cares? Anyway, then the game gets even more unnecessary as Lev randomly runs away to see his mother. Slightly earlier on, Yara tells Abby that Lev's name is actually Lily, and the Seraphites wanted him dead because he shaved his head. It's a small detail that gives some context to his character, but doesn't really play into the larger story overall. Not like most of Abby's storyline does either, but it's worth mentioning. While going after Lev, Abby runs into Manny, who is being pinned down by a sniper. After closing in on his location, Manny dies in about 0.2 seconds, and it's revealed that Tommy is the killer. The two struggle for a moment, but Tommy is eventually thrown into the water below. Heading into the Seraphites camp, Abby and Yara find Lev, who reveals that after showing up, his mom attacked him, which led to him accidentally killing her out of self-defense. Moving on, this abruptly happens, as Yara becomes the third person in this game to die without time for anyone to react. Not even my capture card, apparently. And just like Jesse and Manny are basically wiped from existence, as they never get mentioned really, ever again. I get the whole soldier mindset of quickly moving on, but these deaths all just happen with no development of the character prior, and happen so abruptly you can never feel any emotion. Either way, Lev and Abby are cornered by Isaac. Before she shoots them, it turns out Yara still has a little bit of life in her after all, as she shoots Isaac, giving Abby and Lev some time to escape. Abby and Lev then ride through the Seraphite settlement just as the WLF assault begins, which is a straight up awesome looking sequence, if only I cared about any of it. Despite the absolute chaos ensuing, the two are able to escape with their lives. Back at the aquarium, Abby and Lev discover the dead bodies of Owen and Mel, and without much thought to it, Lev hands Abby Ellie's map, and now they're at the theater as well. We get to see the event unfold again, this time noticing Lev was with Abby the entire time. Just as she's about to shoot Ellie, Tommy intervenes, and despite getting shot himself, allows Ellie to escape. And next comes another sequence leaked a while back that no one wanted to believe was true. Yeah, you now have to fight Ellie and beat the crap out of her as Abby. Dina intervenes but is quickly shut down as well. Yep, yeah, this is happening right now.
Hulk! Smash!
Before Abby slices and dices Dina, Lev steps in and gets her to second guess her actions. Ah, look at that. Character development. For the second time, Abby shows mercy towards Ellie, leaving her and Dina there on the floor. Many months pass and Ellie and Dina are living on a farm together with Dina and Jesse's baby. Even though they seem to be living a happy and calm life together, Ellie is occasionally suffering from PTSD flashbacks of Joel's death. One day after hunting a rabbit, Tommy appears, having survived the attack from Abby as well. But things are not yet over in this game because reasons. Tommy tells Ellie about a lead on Abby's whereabouts, and when she hesitates, Tommy reacts like this.
Reckon it's easy. Forget about her. You sitting all comfy way out here?
Hey,
I'll make her pay.
Tommy.
Alright, rant time. Tommy is perhaps the most inconsistent character I've seen in a long time. At the beginning of the game, he tells Ellie to not go after Abby, as it would basically be a suicide mission.
You have no idea what you're walking into. You don't know how large that group is, how armed.
I don't care. You can't talk me out of this.
Then he proceeds to go himself alone. Stupid. Later, upon reuniting with him again, he wants to head back to Jackson.
They got what they deserved.
But she gets to live.
Yeah.
Abby spares their lives 2 times, and a year has passed, and Ellie is living a happy life with a partner and child, and he reacts like this.
Hey, what the fuck was that?
Nothing.
God damn it, Tommy, you know what we've been.
I'll save her. She made me a promise.
I don't fucking care.
I know you don't, Dina. That's your goddamn problem.
It doesn't make any sense. And perhaps what's even stupider is what Ellie decides to do next. That night, she wakes up, packs a few things, and says, "Screw you, Dina. Screw my family. I still need to kill this person because I don't even know." Also, in between the Tommy scene and Ellie leaving scene, it flashed back to the bar dance thing mentioned way at the beginning of the game, as if anybody even cares anymore. And basically, it just shows Joel stepping in to defend Ellie against this random homophobic character, and then Ellie proceeds to act disgustingly rude to Joel.
You alright, kiddo?
What is wrong with you?
He had no right.
And you do? I don't need your fucking help, Joel.
Right.
I never thought I'd say this, but I hope Abby wins. Speaking of Abby, Lev and her are seen going after the Fireflies in Santa Barbara, following the lead Owen had. After searching for some time, she is finally able to reach them in one of, if not the only scene with Abby that actually made me feel some sort of emotion.
Please answer.
Hi, Abby. We got a clear signal on you. Where in Santa Barbara you calling from?
2425 Constance. We got a tip about a base, but there's no one here. We're looking for fireflies. I'm a firefly.
But just like everything in this game, that doesn't last long, as Abby and Lev are immediately attacked by a group called the Rattlers. Months later, Ellie arrives running into the same group of people, only in her situation, she's able to escape and find Abby's whereabouts, that being at a huge camp along the California coastline. Ellie mows through the Rattlers, allowing some of their prisoners to escape, and is told that Abby is down in a place called the Pillars. As the riot ensues outside, Ellie walks down to the Pillars, which is pretty accurately named, I will say. She finds Abby and Lev cutting them down. Abby, much skinnier with her haircut, is shocked to see Ellie and tells her there are some boats nearby. Conveniently for them, there's 2. But then after seeing one more flashback of Joel, Ellie decides to do this.
I can't let you leave.
Ay, ay, ay. Abby initially refuses to fight Ellie, but then she threatens Lev's life, so Abby has no choice but to fight to the death. Ellie surely has the upper hand for much of the fight, even though Abby frickin' shark teeth confirm bites off 2 of Ellie's fingers in one fell swoop. Holy crap! And after all that, all 30 hours of long, painful gameplay, stupid decisions, huge sacrifices, Ellie finally gets what she wants, but then decides to let Abby go, basically accomplishing nothing this entire game. Abby and Lev sail off while Ellie sits in the water crying. Nice. Sometime later, Ellie returns to the farm, but Dina and JJ, the baby, are gone. She heads upstairs and picks up Joel's guitar, but is unable to play it as well due to her 2 missing fingers. Just before the game ends, we get one last flashback of Joel and Ellie, where Joel continues to be the best and most interesting character in this game, despite being in it for only like 10 minutes. The game insultingly tries to cap itself off on Joel and Ellie's relationship, despite it never feeling like it was about that anymore.
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
In one final twist that I will get into more in a second, Ellie tells Joel that she's going to try to forgive him for lying to her about the fireflies. Back at the ranch, Ellie puts Joel's guitar down and walks off out in the distance to an unknown future. The frickin' end. Alright, now let's try to break all this down. First, let's talk about Dina and JJ. Presumably, they just went back to Jackson. There's nothing to confirm that, but it just makes the most sense. I would assume Ellie is also heading back there to try to reconcile with her and Tommy and all them, but she could also just be going off alone now. As far as Lev and Abby, we can assume they made it to the Fireflies, mostly due to the fact that upon beating the game, the main menu changes showing their boat on shore with what appears to be the Catalina Casino. Since the Fireflies said on the radio they're on Catalina Island, Abby and Lev most likely made it there. And finally, the theme of the game. I'm going to dive more into my thoughts on this in a future video, so for right now I'm just going to give the facts. The game tries to parallel Abby and Ellie, obviously showing what revenge can do to a person. Over the course of the game, Abby is able to grow as a character, accept people from different places, show mercy, and essentially just move on. Ellie inversely is unable to, as she loses literally everything. Her friends, her family, even her ability to play Joel's guitar. She even lost her chance to kill Abby. If Ellie had just done nothing, Abby, who was strung out by the rattlers, would have died. So in a way, Ellie sacrificed everything to just save the person that killed Joel. Now I don't think this theme is very deep, ties into the last game well, or is even executed nearly as well as Naughty Dog thinks it is, because like Abby gets her revenge and everything works out for her, and Ellie doesn't get her revenge and it doesn't work out for her, so it's kind of like revenge is good, what, you know? But yeah, like I'll cover that another time. And I'll also talk about other aspects of the game too. The final scene with Joel was essentially put there to tell players the motive behind Ellie's need for revenge. I feel like it is really bad at communicating this, but you can assume Ellie feels so strongly about killing Abby because at that point in time, Ellie had begun to forgive Joel and Abby took that chance away from her. After years, Ellie finally wanted to reconcile the broken relationship she had with Joel, but never could. I feel like the impact of that is lost because, like I said, everything is just told so out of order. Gosh, it's really hard not to dive into this, but the thoughts will come later. I'm sure this video is already super freaking long as is. So that's gonna do it for this video. If you enjoyed it and found it helpful, leaving me a positive rating is greatly appreciated. For more content like this, make sure to subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to check out Cut's clothing in the description, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.